On everyone, my name is Matt Jarbo. This is Three Buck Theater, and David Ayer's Suicide Squad is a movie that is now over 2 years old, and it's not more fondly remembered as time has gone on. The movie grossed a considerable amount of money considering the hate that it got, and people like me really liked it, liked what David Ayer was going for, understood what kind of went into the whole rushing of the concept. The fact that he had 6 weeks to write a script, it didn't really get rewrites before going into production, and what appeared to be studio interference. I mean, like the trailer company coming in and cutting together a copy of the movie was what we heard, completely pairing it with the pop culture music that was featured heavily in the marketing as well in the movie itself. And listen, to be fair, the soundtrack was actually really, really, really phenomenal for Suicide Squad. So that part paid off. But what people wanted, I think, was something ultimately different. As much as I enjoyed Suicide Squad, and I did, there were clearly things that were missing. And here it is 2+ years later, and we're getting a little bit of that information. Enough to where people have been asking the honest question, will there ever be an Ayer cut of Suicide Squad? Now, remember, they did give us the extended edition on DVD, which was about an extra 15 minutes, which ultimately didn't do a lot to change up the story. People were hoping that we were going to get an extended version of the film that would flesh out elements of Suicide Squad, very similar to how Batman v Superman Extended Cut basically redid the entire movie, at least the first 2 acts. Like, in my opinion, BVS, the extended edition, is one of my top 5 films of 2016, and I was hoping for something similar to happen with Suicide Squad, but in the end, I didn't really care much for the extended cut as much as I did the theatrical. And I think that's because the stuff that was on the cutting room floor that they re-added back in wasn't worth it. Whereas these particular story arcs that David Ayer is alluding to now, oh man, make a world of damn difference. So it says here, Suicide Squad originally included Steppenwolf, says David Ayer. And that kind of makes sense, right? It does a little bit. I mean, we know that Steppenwolf had an appearance in Batman v Superman, The Ultimate Cut. There was a 59-second part of that movie. That whole scene that you see in the extended cut with Steppenwolf was 59 seconds, and it was cut from the final cut of Batman v Superman, released online the Monday after the following of the film. And that, again, is one of the things that really pissed off a lot of fans of Batman and Superman who went into that movie wanting to see something more. They were like, why are we not getting, why was this left out of the movie? 59 seconds would have explained a lot to do with Steppenwolf, the mother boxes, what Lex Luthor did, and where things are going. That little scene opened up so many threads that had it been left in, it probably would have been received just a wee bit better because fans would have then gotten an idea of what's coming down the pipeline. Again, studio interference at Warner Brothers is just terrible when it comes to these films. And with Suicide Squad, it definitely kicks things off. Now, it says here that Suicide Squad has issues. That's just an objective, verifiable fact, like the sky being blue and the sun being hot. Between a shoddy edit job, a familiar plot, inexplicable needle drops, it's impossible to say what exactly would have fixed the film, which is why it's hard to tell what to make of David Ayer revealing that his original concept for Suicide Squad, which involved eventual Justice League villain Steppenwolf controlling Cara Delevingne's Enchantress with the Mother Box and taking part in the film's climactic fight scene in place of Incubus. And that's interesting too, because it does feel that the CG of Incubus is something that ultimately could have been brought in like last minute, right? If you would have replaced Incubus with Steppenwolf, it would have made for a much more compelling thing. Incubus's character was so woefully underdeveloped for us to even really care about him. The CG was pretty terrible in comparison to the rest of the film. Like, it was one of those last-minute studio notes that came down the pipeline, and that Ayer was like, well, I guess I better add in because this is what they want me to do. Now, we're responding to a question on Twitter about Suicide Squad concept art that showed the Big Bad and his parademon minions. Ayer confirmed the early plans. The director also noted that the gooey sewer monsters that served as Enchantress's minions throughout the film were first conceived as parademons, saying, "That's right," the director wrote. "Enchantress was under the control of a mother box, and Steppenwolf was preparing an invasion with a boom tube. Had to lose that when the JL story arcs evolved." Now, he doesn't go on to say what the JL story arcs are. He doesn't go on to say what those are, what those evolutions were that caused them to change it. But you can see that they probably removed Steppenwolf wanting to hold him for Justice League because they didn't want to introduce Darkseid too quick, which I do understand. And at the time, they were still prepping for Justice League 1 and Justice League 2 being a 2-part film series. Remember, this, at the time, it was just going to be, it's going to be a setup and a conclusion. That was what they were going to do before releasing Justice League and then prepping the idea of Justice League 2 coming out in 2019. That was the original plans. Obviously, things have changed. We don't quite know what would be, how things would have been different. But this was done at the time when Zack Snyder was still roughly in charge of the DCEU, which tells me that, because he had his hands heavily involved in Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad. So it makes me wonder if him and David Ayer had come up with this plan to introduce Steppenwolf, introduce the mother boxes more so than Batman v Superman, and then have that tie into what was going to be coming down the pipeline for Justice League the following year, which actually is pretty cool. It's actually pretty good. And this is just another example, like almost a confirmed example of the whole situation involving Suicide Squad and Warner Brothers and DC Films and Zack Snyder and the fact that these guys simply do not know how to run a franchise. They don't. I mean, the entire DCEU at this point is completely in disarray. Everyone knows that. They've tried to rebrand as the Worlds of DC. It's not going to work. Everyone knows it as a DCEU. Every time they try to walk away from the DCEU as a name, it comes back around because fans ain't going to let that shit go. Right? Shazam takes place in the DCEU. Wonder Woman 1984 and Aquaman also take place in the DCEU. But after that, after 2019, it does appear that certain things are going to be shifting away. We don't know where, we know the Joker is not officially part of the DCEU. We do know that Matt Reeves, the Batman, may not be a part of the DCEU. These are things that are happening that people don't quite like. These are things that are happening that fans are just getting more frustrated with because they look at the fact that with Avengers 4, that's going to bring a 22-film, 11-year arc to a close. And we know DC wants that. Just they want that so bad, but they have dropped the ball so much. And then part of that has to do with locking down release dates ahead of time, not shifting on those, cutting out 30 minutes from the film in regards to Batman v Superman. And if it's the Suicide Squad changes, all the reshoots for Justice League, everything else that went down. It's been a hell of a ride for the DCEU. You know what I mean? It's been 5.5 years. And it feels like even though, wow, there's still a few films left that are still going to stick in line with the continuity, that things are changing and that the DCEU, as we know, is effectively over. And this kind of, I think, confirms that, is that they just didn't know what they wanted to do. And what if they would have given a Steppenwolf controlling Enchantress rather than Anubis' character being in the movie, I think it would have been a much more deeper plot line. Parademons versus a little gooey monsters would have been a lot more interesting, I think, and it would have been a much more complete film tying into what was happening in the grander DCEU at the time. And it's just another thing that we're not going to get because somebody at Warner Brothers doesn't know how to run a goddamn franchise. So Walter Hamada, 2020 onward, man, you better do a good job because fans are already starting to lose interest in this stuff. And once that interest is gone, it's going to be very hard to get them back. I mean, that's why I think the Joker is definitely going to be an experiment, kind of like Venom. I'm pretty sure they're looking at the success of Venom and going, our Joker is going to do as well as that. We'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, yeah, I'm totally hashtag release the Ayer cut. I've wanted the Ayer cut from the beginning. And I'm hoping that we get to see some stuff, get to see some more stuff, and Ayer maybe opens up about what happened, and maybe Zack Snyder over there on Vero actually opens up a little bit more rather than just the slight trolling he likes to put out every once in a while to keep fans guessing as to what really went down with him in the DCEU. But anyway, I leave it to you guys to leave your thoughts and opinions. Please write them below. Do you think that we'll ever see anything remotely concrete in regards to the Ayer cut? Is it dead? Is it buried? Will he ever give us more information? These are things I'm curious to know about. So let me know down in the comments, or you can always call in our voice line at 818-350-3281. That's 818-350-3281. You guys can call in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Leave your comments, and I will be answering them on the show, The Call-In. If you haven't already, please also thumbs up the video, subscribe, and check back often for more content from me. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo. This has been $3 Theater. Have yourself a great day, guys, and peace out.